All right. Hello, everybody. It is Friday, November 18th, and we're so excited you're here. It's MVP office hours, and I can't see my screen for a second. Hold on. Let me get back to it. We have probably lots of questions today. I just totally got off track, Squire.
It happens.
I know, right? I like skipped the record skipped and I was like, but we are recording before we get too far into this. So if you can't be recorded, we'll see you later. But you can catch the recording on YouTube. We've got Dale here. Dale, say hello. And we've got Squire here and myself hosting MVP office hours. Let's see, if you need to reach out to us for some specific reason, we do have an email address. mvpofficehoursus@gmail.com. However, the best place to send us questions and send your questions to the community is at MVP office hours in the Trailblazer community. And if you haven't been there before, we really suggest you go there soon. So let's go to the next slide. All right. So welcome to everybody, current and future MVPs. Where to go? What is happening? Sorry. We ask that everyone participate and share your experience and your insights and recommendations with the group. We would love for you to post links and resources and any answers in the chat. If you have a question, post your question in the chat or just raise your hand while we're on the call. But if you post your question in the chat, you get put in line. Question in the chat. We do recommend sharing your screen, but please do not share any private data or company information. What is happening? My slides keep disappearing. And then we love to have fun, but and informal, but at the same time, keep it on the professional level of things, especially Dale. Thank you. Oh, did we miss next meeting? Yeah, next meeting, December 2nd. So after everyone enjoys a little bit of a holiday stretch, and then you can find us on YouTube. We don't know what's happening with Twitter, but we'll be there as long as we can. All right. We have some upcoming Dreamin' events that are community led. French Touch Dreamin' is in Paris if anyone's traveling. No. Cactus Force in Phoenix. And I know what's happening. Every time a chat pops up, my slide disappears.
An angel gets its wings.
It's crazy. And so in May, we've got Texas Dreamin' in Austin, Texas. There are some Salesforce events coming up. World Tour in December in New York. DX is in San Francisco in March. And then Dreamforce is back in September in San Francisco. Wow, this is just craziness. Join the Trailblazer group, sign up for meeting invites, and do we use the QuipDoc for virtual meetings anymore?
I don't think so.
We'll have to check into that. All right, so next slide. Ooh, we've got 3.
Yeah, and I wanted to, before you jump in, Joy, really quick, there's been some really good, I think, conversations going on in Success, and so I'll just remind everyone that everyone can use all of our help, even not on Fridays. So if you see a post, even the smallest comment or link or something can help. And a lot of these posts are exactly that. I'm not sure if Joanne or Molly or Matt made it, but there was some great conversation in the Success community. So
let's see, Joanne and Molly are not here. Neither is Matt. And so do we have any questions today? Like,
yeah, so we have Bruno coming up. But really quick, just to go through these since the 3 aren't here. Yeah. So Joanne was asking about moving metadata from one org to another org. And Jake recommended, who Jake just joined, recommended using an unmanaged package as a possible option. And then Gustavo added this link to be able to move metadata from org to org. It was interesting. The link, I should say, was an interesting read. Molly had asked a question about deleting an opportunity layout. I think there's a little bit of confusion from her perspective of, I'm sorry.
One step back on the first one. The only thing I would say, yes, all those are great tools. Beware the hard-coded IDs, especially specific objects, because custom objects, even record type IDs, all of that They are not going to be like for like from org to org. So just be aware of that. But otherwise, yep, to all the above.
Cool. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, actually, one other thing, you could probably also use a package builder or like click deploy. Or even if you have Git, you could probably use like put into a repo and then pull it out of repo.
Yeah, lots of options. I felt like she got an answer she was not expecting when you dropped that in there. Because I didn't see any follow-ups and I would have expected lots of follow-ups. So let us know if she comes back and asks you more questions, Jacob.
Will do.
Molly had asked about deleting a opportunity layout. Her concern was that there was some sort of data cleanup to handle after the fact. And so there were some really good posts in there about reminding her that layout isn't a data connection, it's a layout to record type collection. And so if you convert a layout or change a layout, the record type is going to override it and the profile will connect, and all the stuff that goes together. So it was a pretty good conversation. And then Matt had asked about opportunity stages not showing up in a sales process, and that had just started some conversation. I was hoping that Matt was going to make it so we could pull that one apart, because that's its own little problem. So without guessing at it,
I wonder, did they just recently start using opportunity record types or something?
Literally the whole post is right there, and then there was
Okay.
a first couple of questions hit it. So that's why I was hoping Matt was going to make it today. So
Well,
maybe he'll come back.
Potentially, but stage is not related to record type. Stage is related to sales process. Record type is related to sales process.
So the stage could be missing from the sales process.
Correct.
Like if so if they started with like sales process A and it had 5 steps, and they cloned it to make sales process B, and then sales process A got new steps, but they didn't add them to, the specific ones to process B, that could be part of the problem. But cloning and then not updating everything, just assuming it's all going to update. Lots of things going on there. Oh, stages.
All right. So I think that sends us right back to Bruno then. So take it away.
Thanks, everyone. I just posted in there for Joanne. I know that moving data, I've used GearSet. It's amazing. It's free for a month. So if she's looking for a free tool, I don't know if anybody else has had experience with it, but it's incredible what that thing can do. For my question is actually, it should be quick. So I'm in a flow and I'm looking for a random number generator, something like 8 characters or something, and it needs to be random. I had something going for a while and I thought it was random. It was like a popular one that's out there in a blog that does the square root of now and does a whole bunch of stuff, but it's not random. Now it turns out we're running into some issues because I didn't realize. So now it's like we need to better that. And probably even after I do a random generator, check the table I'm looking for against that ID to make sure it is unique. And if not,
It has to be random and unique, not just random.
Yeah, yes. So just wondering, does anybody know? I saw a couple of things out there. Pete Lyons gave a couple of examples, but it didn't seem to work for me. So if there's something easy out there that somebody's got a formula, I'd appreciate it. I can put the one that I'm using currently now in the chat, but I don't
Do you mind if I ask?
I don't like it, but that's the one I'm using now. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so random number generators by definition aren't random, right? Like that's just the truth of it. I mean, even what you're doing there is actually sequential number calculation, right? I mean, because you're now is a sequential serial number, so you're always getting the square root. Like you're actually effectively adding 1 to the last one. I'm oversimplifying.
Okay. I didn't even do this one. As another developer, I'm gonna have to fix it now. So I say us because it's a team, but
yeah, I mean, I guess my question is, what is the value of the random number, especially if you have to ensure that it's unique? Why not just use an auto number?
It's to do with sort of providing consent, and it's sort of like, you send something out to people, they come back in, do stuff on a site. So I can't have it that you can guess by kind of going back a number. I want to make it super unique. Yeah, that's the reason, because I thought of that too. It was a great idea.
Is there a way to leverage anything within like security mechanisms to generate a security token that becomes your random thing? Like, is there already a moving engine somewhere on the platform that you can just borrow to say, I need this 32 character long or 8 character long token? Boom. Like, is there a way to grab that instead of making your own randomizer?
Not yet. I mean, I'd have to build that, I guess. Possibly, but that's why I thought even if I do random and do a check against a table, there's currently 1,400 records, so that's not probably a brutal thing to do. And I know it's kind of like, check. It could turn into a bit of a loop that hits that 100 limit, but I don't think so because it shouldn't happen very often, especially if we're talking like 6, 8 digits or something to that effect. I'm just wondering if there's no solution, then I'll keep digging. I just wondered if somebody had an easy quick.
There's an easy solution, or I shouldn't say easy. There's a direct solution, but maybe not the easiest solution. The math function in Apex has an actual random number function.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so you could write an invocable Apex class that just generates a random number and call it from your flow or call it from your update and actually get a maybe more credible random number generation, but it's going to require you to have access to that math feature or math library.
Yeah.
It also won't be unique, right?
I
Well,
can
that
check.
that would be part of the flow then, right? You'd have to say, does this already exist? Try again and rerun the Apex class, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, okay. I did see something on unofficial SF that does a random like components that you can pull in. I haven't looked at that yet. I don't know if anybody has experience with that, but I can try that too. But okay.
Can't go wrong with unofficial
Good
SF.
thoughts.
It's probably
Yeah, they're
doing
amazing.
something along that line, right?
Yeah, I just looked at that one. It looks like you have to give it a start number and end number.
Yes.
So you have to
That's
still
what
do your check to make sure that that value wasn't utilized somewhere else already.
Okay. So you've used that one? Does it actually look like it gives
I have not
randomness?
used it. I actually just looked at it and said that looks interesting.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's great. I appreciate it, everyone. Thank you so much.
And have you checked App Exchange? Like, this feels like a use case that isn't unique to just you. So maybe someone has developed something, or maybe just out in the open source ecosystem. I mean, it's where DLRS was born, and look how much that's taken off with people. Like,
True. Yeah, that's true.
You know what would be a fun little exercise? At mention in ask this question in our chat and at mention Steve Mo and see if he's dealt with it. Because if anybody's fixed this declaratively, it's him.
I've seen a little bit of his post on this one too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks
Yeah, there's also an idea out there.
Yeah.
If you want to upvote the idea too for Salesforce to create a random generator number, you can do
I've
that.
seen
too,
that.
so.
Yes. Great.
I love how
Awesome.
you're baiting Steve Mo, Squire.
I'm no fool.
I'll have a beer with Steve. Yeah, no worries. That's a good one. Thanks.
Do we have any other questions?
Heather was next up. If she's still on, she asked me a question directly, but I'd be great if she could do it herself, or I mean, do it personally.
Let's see. Heather.
She might have dropped back off.
Oh, Heather, come back. All right.
Yeah, so let me see here. Trying to deal with custom validation exceptions or required field validations during flow deploys. How to get around that? Oh, this one's a good conversation. We all have dealt with this in our own special ways, right?
Yeah.
So how would you, asking it to the world, deal with data validation challenges while trying to deploy a flow?
that sentence doesn't chronologically make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Are you
some
saying-
extrapolation based on a handful of words. So
Are we doing validation in the flow, or are we building something that creating records that's enforcing validation?
let's do each one without her answer. Let's do them like kind of like quick hits. So let's say we're trying to handle custom validation within the flow. What's the right way to handle that?
Custom validation as in a decision node that where you bake your validation rule criteria into it, or
Again, we're guessing. So
okay.
take your best guess at a short question. If we want to set it aside, we can. I mean, like, so like I was thinking like, okay, if you've got to deal with a validation rule on like an actual field layout and the flow is fighting with it, how do you handle that? Like you could use the flow to turn a flag on and off midway through, or use like Monica has that cool demo where she's got a switchboard so she can turn validations on and off while she's doing work and deployments. but that's different than what we just started talking about. So
Mhm.
you want to drop it?
Think-
Oh, Heather, did she
I
come
don't
back?
need more information.
She
'cause
came
I don't
back.
have any
She
answers
came
to
back.
it. Oh, wait, what? Wait.
Heather, we were just talking about you. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you, Heather.
Well, let her, there we go. Now
I
she's
know, she's like, what? What's happening? Heather, we got to your question. You're on mute.
Okay, I'm so sorry. My laptop decided that it was going to shut itself off.
Would you walk us through your question?
Okay, I don't have it. Okay, so
Squire,
I
I'll send it back to you.
have,
Hold on.
I've been trying to deploy flows, and I'd be getting Apex issues test saying that, you know, this has a validation exception or a required field exception. And I'm trying to solve for those so that I can properly deploy my flows.
So I think are those fields that are being validated already in the target org?
Yes.
Okay. Have you tried, when you're doing the deployment, have you tried redeploying those fields and those other things that are getting referenced in the same deployment package as your flow?
Well, like one of them is we have a requirement on our leads and contacts, which is email. And I had to create a validation rule to require email, because when I went to the email field, you couldn't like set it as required.
Right.
And so now I get a validation error that contact or lead requires, you know, an email. And this is when I'm trying to deploy a flow that relates to opportunity. So, I mean, would I be deploying email again? I mean, that's.
Well, no, so, I mean, email being a standard field, you can't really deploy it, but what else is in the validation rule? Is it looking for a certain record type? Is it looking for, is it if a certain
One
user
is that
profile?
we were, I mean, like our two that keep coming up is that we require a country for leads. And that one continues to pop up, and I had to do that as a validation rule. So I get the validation exception. And then the email thing keeps popping up, and I tried to add in that like leads created after a certain date to, because like I thought it was, hey, you're getting this error because the data's not all there. But when I run a report, it you know, it says that it should be fine as a validation rule, you know, after January 1st, 2020, everything should have this, you know, and so that wasn't the solution. But yeah, because like trying to deploy email or address isn't something that you could do, especially when it's not related to the flow.
Right. So let's take a step back. I probably should have been more architectural about this. What are you using to deploy? Are you using change sets? Are you using gear set? Are you using VS Code? What are you?
I'm trying to use change sets. I've also tried like click deploy or Copado, which is basically a change set. And then Metazoa, when I do it there, that's basically a change set.
So is the issue deploying it up from the source, or is it deploying into the target? Where's the issue?
Into my prod environment, because that's where I hit all of these Apex errors.
So I know we have a rule on the first slide that says don't show us production, but we wouldn't be looking at data. Is there any way you can show us what exactly you're seeing?
I can, if I can just get back into my work laptop, because I have it on an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
I copied and pasted my errors. So I am almost there.
Because like with deployments,
Yeah.
it's always something like between the commas that's actually the issue, not the whole message.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Go ahead, Michael.
Dale, I put this in the chat. I have a suspicion that if she runs her Apex tests in production, irrespective of this flow that she's trying to deploy, they're going to fail because some test is creating a lead and that lead doesn't have an email address, and that test is now hitting the validation rule. That's my suspicion.
Okay, I would say that's strong. Apex sometimes gets overused in the UI, the term Apex. Do you have Apex in your org?
yes.
You do, okay.
All right. And
Do you know on what objects the Apex is written
I
against?
swear to God, it's all of them. And
That's
when I'm
the
trying
bigger
to look
problem that we
through,
should try to solve, but not here.
yeah, I mean, like it's when I try to like talk to one of our developers, you know, our contractor, and I'm like, I really think some of these can be replaced with Flow. And then he's like, oh, there's so much, you know, complication and detail that went into those. I'm like, yeah, I think you're just shy on getting rid of some of your old work, but I can't say that because I need him.
Right.
I'm just curious, Heather, if I wouldn't even do it in prod, I don't think. You could spin up a sandbox and just run tests in sandbox and get the same error, I think, right? Have you tried to just run all tests in a sandbox to see if has anything to do with the flow at all?
Is your flow calling any Apex?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's I'm almost there.
So when you're deploying, you're only deploying the flow, correct?
Yes, like I might have been doing some fields, but I've had to break that down. So now I load in all my fields, and then I load in all the profile connected to the fields. Then I try to load in my flows. And I've now been doing that because I've unfortunately been having to do the you know, the don't use tests, you know, when I have to deploy the flow to get around those things, and I don't want to do that. It's
I think Michael wins the prize on this one. If I had to guess, and what you also just said about your heavy reliance on code in your org, I'm guessing Michael's theory is what the culprit is.
okay. I'm trying to get in again on the Zoom call so that I can show you the errors. Sweet.
Just get ahead of it, make sure your mute is on and the microphone is down for the second laptop, so we don't get that weird feedback.
Okay.
And Squire, are you sharing or is Joy?
I am, I'll shut her down. I just want to make sure I've got everybody set up for multiples. Yep, so 1 second. Uh-oh. You lose her again? Nope,
Here we go.
there we go.
And I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So here are the cancel. Here are the errors that, you know, I've been getting, and I've been kind of working my way down here, but I hit. These will become new things, but let me. So it's like update account solution mix test update. Is this what you're saying, that I have to figure out like, why on this test?
So in the middle of that message where it says field custom validation exception, that is a validation rule message. All contacts must have email.
Right. And that's because if I don't do it as a validation rule, I couldn't find another way to make it required.
And
So the validation rule is valid and exists for a valid reason. What's happening, this is my suspicion, and if we could see you run tests, we would know. When you have Apex code in your org, there are Apex tests that go with it. And the first thing those tests have to do in order to test just about anything is they have to create some data that they're then going to run whatever automation against and see what happens. So my guess is you have Apex tests that are trying to create, for example, a contact. And the test, most developers, when they write the test, it's going to be a contact with a, first name, last name, maybe not even first name, because that's not required, just last name. It doesn't have an email. So the Apex test is failing when it tries to create its test data.
because your validation rule
Because
came
it's hitting
after
your
the test was
validation rule.
written.
Okay.
So we could know that if we could see you run all tests in your org, which
Okay.
wouldn't show us anything private.
All right. And in production or in like my full sandbox, does it
Makes no
matter there?
No.
Okay.
Well, it might make
I mean, I
it.
guess we would need to make absolutely sure though that your sandboxes are synced
Yeah.
up with production in terms of validation rules and all that kind of stuff, because you don't want to get a false positive if a validation rule didn't make it to the sandbox that you're testing in for whatever reason.
I'm
That makes
fairly certain they are. We've been really trying to be better about making changes in full and deploying in, even if it's a ridiculously small change.
Right.
So,
It just takes one super minor change for stuff to splinter out in a bajillion different directions. So
all
a
right,
change is a
let's
change.
is there a way that I can developer console? Perfect. All right.
And actually, you could just run that test probably and it'd run faster than too, right?
The update account solution mix test or the test update, because they had the class name was the update account solution mix test, and then the method is test update. So I don't know which one.
Michael, this is kind of your show. I'm just asking about, like, if we want to run this quickly, we probably just run the one test that it referenced. So the error message you were just looking at, run that test class.
Okay, so, and how do I do that?
That's okay. So go to debug. Well, you can do a run there as well, but yeah, go from test.
Okay.
No, you're still.
Oh, from test.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then you're going to do a new run. And now you can look up the name of the one class you want to run if you weren't going to run them all.
Okay.
And
So-
there is a search at the bottom there if it's easier. But it looks
Alrighty.
so you add selected and at the bottom of the list. Left side.
Sorry.
See
Add selected. I
Yep.
see. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. And then just run it.
Okay.
And cross your fingers. I saw that, Michael.
All right.
All right, so it looks like it completed. So at the bottom there, it shows a single line in your log. Double click that. And I would say it ran successfully, which is throwing things off a little bit for me. I was expecting an error. Michael, you too, I bet, right? So then you could do a search for the string that the error referenced to find the actual statement, but I think we're already on our heels now because it didn't fail. So the next step would be to run them all, because maybe there's an interaction there, but that's going to take a little bit longer. But that would be where we'd start.
Okay.
So I'm jumping around quite a bit. I'm sorry. So like, you
Oh,
see
yeah.
like the fifth column at the bottom there where it says status success.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it had failed, it would have said failed,
Right.
like it does in the message. So it makes me wonder if there's another interaction. If you go to I'm trying to picture it, is the test tab where it shows each individual method and assess and a search. Is that where that goes? Yeah. So if you open that up, so if you were to run all tests, you'd see a red check mark on this part that failed, and you'd be able to then look at what's in this log up above and figure out why it failed, like get more info.
Okay. And right now we've got a nice, I'm feeling like I'm at the mechanic's office right now.
That's okay.
So
Right now.
I need to, I have to jump off, but I have one thing that I want to empower you with before I go, and then I'll let you all like pick back through this. So as a consultant, you mentioned earlier that your developers are contractors, not like FTEs. Is that right?
Right. I have one that we're starting to work in, but it's a learning process. But the other one has been with us for a while, and
okay. I want to empower you to go to your powers that be to say, we are getting problems because of code. You have tried to engage the developers in conversations around converting to Flow, and chances are it can be done. It does not matter how complex logic they've created. If you're not dealing with millions and millions of records, you can do Flow. So grab the bull by the horns on this one, and you can get this right by going to your powers that be to drive the message back to the contractors to say, look, if you're going to be setting us really deep in code, which is causing a significant amount of problems, that's a problem for you, contractors. So let's move forward into 2022 and 23, and let's start getting some of this over to Flow. We are here to help you, Heather. So empower yourself to do that. That is what I would charge you with. And we're more than happy to help you get on the right foot of that, because
if things are inactive, but yet they're causing me issues, then it's not even really needed to be there, right?
But the thing is, you're having these issues though, because of all of this. It doesn't matter if it's active or inactive. A lot of this could be mitigated by actually getting your developers to get on board with Flow.
Okay.
So I would empower you to take the internal lead on this one, to go to your managers and your directors to say, here's why we need to be getting more on board with Flow. And we are here to help you, Heather.
Okay. Awesome.
I'll add one thing to that, Dale, because I 100% agree. You also should be able to say, your code is causing my declarative work to fail. Help me resolve the test class. Your change didn't affect his test class or their test class. So they should be able to fix the problem and tell you why it's failing. It shouldn't be for you to puzzle this together. Like, I think both of those are good ideas.
And
yeah, I mean, I was given the statement,
problem,
well, you have to turn off those validation rules every time you want to do a deployment.
That's not okay. You made validation rules for a reason. You shouldn't be trying to test around them. As much as I hate validation rules, you probably have a good reason for having them. Don't turn them off to test. They are part of they're part of the thing. They need to be there and active. So anyway, that's my spiel. And
thank you. At least it's not me being overly demanding in my mind. No. Okay.
And like I said, come back to this group. We will help empower you with talking points and all of it. So yes.
Okay.
Send them this recording. We talked about you, and this is what they said.
Right.
Yeah. And the run all. So this would just be that way of you saying I'd see the.
Do it now.
All right. I'm going to run it, but I am not going to waste your time while I'm running that. So thanks very much. And yeah, I'll push back here.
Keep us posted. We want to hear how it results.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because and you taking charge like that's a career game changer potentially. That's a job game changer. That's a role game changer. That's a career game changer.
Yeah,
so
watch the people who hand out that money be like, hey, Heather knows what she's talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, watch it happen.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
So Squire, keep me honest here, but I think Andrea is our next question, and I think we got you covered, Andrea, or she had asked about.
I should be good. I didn't think to check the folder permissions. I'm
So,
like, oh yeah,
right,
the group
so-
all has has manage. I'm like, why is that a thing? So fixing it now.
Check the profiles and the permission sets because it sits on both of them.
Can you summarize the
Oh.
question and the answer?
Yeah, so I had a user move a lightning email template into their private folder. So I need to not allow people to do that.
They
So
took the template from everybody and kept it to themselves. Mike
yeah,
sent this little
so
email.
right. So it turns out
Column.
the role and its subordinates have manage access to the folder. So I'm going to change that to view and then just give the select few people who I know need to actually manage it, manage access.
Yep. Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad that was, I actually pulled up a playground because I don't have that in the folders enabled in
Yeah,
the org that I play in, but so I
Yeah,
pulled up one of my trailhead playgrounds and I was like, aha.
yeah, I didn't think to check the straightforward answer, and I was like Googling and it wasn't immediately coming, and I was on the coming up and I was on the call, so I figured I'd ask. I was like, oh yeah, no, it was pretty easy and straightforward. So it's usually how it goes. Well, not always.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we just get so far into the forest, we forget like we forget
Yep.
about the stuff that we
Um,
had to do to get into it. Any other questions, friends?
I saw Matt join. I'm wondering if
Matt.
he wants
I
to
saw
talk
Jade
about opportunity
Stephen, too.
stages.
Oh, well, that's right. Matt had a question. Matt's here. Where's Matt? Matt, unmute. Matt. There you are.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm driving. I'm
Oh,
almost.
no.
I'll be in front of my computer in like 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
wait for you. We want to talk about opportunity stages. So
Thank you.
Yeah,
You
for
bet.
sure. Opportunity stages. Anyone else got anything? Anyone got big plans for this weekend?
I got a question that I think is probably a bug, but I'd love to get eyes on it.
let's hear it.
Okay, I did post about this in the Trailblazers community, but I didn't tag MVPOH. I will probably do that. I'm going to share my screen.
Ouch. Didn't
This
think
is
to
prod,
tag-
but I won't be showing anything non-public. So if
Very
I do Einstein Search, you can see that, look at the top one, Jefferson County, right? It just says account. I will show you in the back end, we set up a secondary field that should show up in search. And if you hover, it now shows up here. I swear to you, a few months ago, it showed up over here, which is where we want it because it's useful there. I suspect the Winter 23 update broke this. But now if we edit the search layout in, on the account object, here's the things that we've added to the search layout. Nothing that's not a number will show up over here. We've tried, like, if I put this as the first or this as the first, they don't show up. But if I move zip to first or second for that matter, it shows up over here, which is, it shouldn't have anything to do with field type, but it appears to. And interestingly, it would take me a sec to go to the right place, but if I went to somewhere where there was a lookup field to account, the secondary field would show up here in the lookup.
For the for the account object search results, do you have the is it the override the search result column customizations for all users? Is that checked?
Sorry, ask me the question again.
Go to search layouts. and
Yeah,
then
everyone
select-
uses the
Right,
default
so
layout.
select the top one. That's fine. We're not actually gonna edit. I was just trying to see if that override was checked or anything, and then,
So it's interesting you should ask that. I tried this yesterday. If I check this and then I hit save and then I go to edit again, it's not checked again.
That is just sending like a process to
A one-off?
like reset everyone. It's
Okay.
not persistent. It's the same thing you do when you make a is it layout in the old classic way? You
Right.
like, or tabs maybe?
Override there, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like
all that's doing, and then it turns it back off to say, next time you might have to do it again, so.
Well, I've done it about 100 times, so it ain't,
All right, good to know.
as did another user. Yeah, and like if I mess with what's here, you know, I could put phone. If I put phone at the top,
I'm wondering,
Go ahead.
how many characters is descriptive text?
Good question. I was concerned it might be long text. It is well under what a text, it's a formula field in this case, but I tried a non-formula field that was just a text field. It didn't work.
I'm wondering if it being a formula field is also a problem.
Yeah,
I agree, which is why I tried putting like state up there and it doesn't do it.
No dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, formula fields are gonna be a problem in general. I mean, don't forget that they're a runtime thing, so they don't even exist when you're searching, if I'm not mistaken.
And yet it worked a month ago.
So weird. Well, is it working because it's actually finding the value in a different field, but returning the formula field? Like, it's giving you that column, but it's not actually matching on that column. Like, it's moot. It's not really the problem you're dealing with. I'm sorry.
I see what you're saying, but yeah, I think it's not the question here. Let me just pull up another record and show you what I mean about a lookup field. I know that nothing you're seeing here is going to be meaningful to you, but if I go to there's an account.
So I have a direction.
This is an account lookup, and if I like remove this and I type Jefferson, you see what it's doing, which is exactly what we want. Go ahead. What was your question?
So I don't know. I just started poking around because this is like new frontier for Joy, right? Don't play around and search too often. But the search manager like gives you a list of all of your fields that are searchable, and I'm wondering if it's not searchable, if it won't display there.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I'm wondering if that's the thing, and because it's easily search which objects and fields are available for your users with Search Manager. Only searchable objects appear in your org, and you can use Search Manager to get a clear picture of your available objects. Explore in depth which fields are searchable for your users. And so if you go to account and look for descriptive text, I guess that would be under D. It's not searchable, and so I'm wondering if that's a reason why it's not showing up. I don't know how to change that.
It probably has something to do with it being a formula. But again, showed up last month.
It could have been a change. I don't know. Search Manager limitations, discover your searchable fields by object. Search Manager limitations. So I clicked on that tell me more.
Yeah.
Stuff when we were in the other, we're gonna go everywhere today. To find out more about the searchable objects and how to make search work better and search configuration tips. The setup Einstein Search, I'll put it in the chat. That was where I had started the rabbit hole while we were chatting. Because that seems like a really great field to have available for search.
Well, and that's the thing, like, we're not actually trying to search on that field. We're trying to see so the humans can sort the results
Context.
based on it.
Yeah, context.
And it's showing up here.
I need to be educated because I haven't done this configuration. Is the search layouts on an object actually what Einstein Search is returning? I don't know if I'm asking that right. Like, because like when you go to Einstein Search setup and go to like the search layouts, that list, is that tying back by profile to the actual search layouts of the object, or is it a different setup?
I think it's the same if you're on that main or if you're on by object.
Yeah, so like when you pop that open,
the same list.
It's going, it's the same. Yeah, this is here it is. It's the same list. Yeah.
Right, but
So
those
it's
aren't
like
the
two
fields.
paths to the same thing.
Those aren't the fields that it's searching. That's just the fields that can return
right?
for the object.
I guess what I'm asking is like, that's the fields displays for the default layout profile. What profile are you?
Oh, I'm sysadmin.
But yeah, it's using.
And
the
that's
default
looking
number.
at whatever the default layout return is. That's not that thing at the top. The thing at the top is a profile assignment, right?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No.
I don't believe there's a profile called default.
But you see what I'm saying? Like that's a
I do.
weird, or like it's suggesting the default layout is a profile, and then
I-
you've got also a default layout field assignment.
I had not thought of it that way, but now that you say it, it is weird. I mean,
So if you go back to the account object,
Could you tell me what you're show me again? What you're trying to
yes.
show?
When we search in Einstein Search, well, when we search in the search bar, I don't really care if it's Einstein, but I want what's here where my cursor is to show the second field that I've selected, which is called descriptive text. It used to be here, which say Jefferson County account, public school district, bar, and whatever's to the right of this. A month ago, it showed that. Now it has stopped showing it over here.
Do you happen to know the exact date that this change stopped working?
I don't. I strongly suspect winter 23, but I don't know.
I would dig through your audit log, and if it was working before winter 23, but not right after, then you could open a case.
Yeah, I'm expecting I'm opening a case, but
I don't.
someone else might know something.
I don't know that you can configure that part of Einstein Search.
But I know you used to be able to. So one of my colleagues, I'm a consultant, but one of the people in the org had gotten a request from a user to add that here, had succeeded and checked it off in Asana. And it was, it was all good back then. And then the user said to her, like on Monday, what, I thought I asked you to, and she was like, it was there.
Yeah, I would like if you're using source control and you know that it was not working on Monday, I'd start at Monday and start going backwards and look at the deployment log and see what went wrong. Because I don't know how you configure like the layout in that part of Einstein Search.
You can do it. I don't remember how to. I did it once.
As far as from my reading of the help, it is truly supposed to be those search layouts that we were looking
I
at.
think it's supposed to show. Could you look at the what was it, compact layout?
Which one's assigned? I don't remember. So Jefferson County was is a school district. It's not part of that.
One other question, Michael. So contact works as you expected in that return list. When you compare the way contact is configured to versus account, are you seeing any differences there?
That's an interesting question. I know this is the account. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the top value in that list on the right, basically, right?
Yes. Opportunity, however, is not doing what we want because we also have a search secondary field. Here it is, not showing up over here. Used to.
Interesting.
is that a long text field or it's just a text field? You said,
They're both formula fields,
okay.
but not long. Not formula fields concatenating long text fields. Well, you can.
Why are you using a formula?
Because they wanted 2 fields. So if I look at, I don't remember, again, I didn't actually build this, but what's it called again? Descriptive text. It
Is that field
pulls
displayed on the
type and state.
is that field displayed on the record? Page layout?
No, I'm sure it's not. Interesting idea. Could try that.
I mean, my thought is that you could just make that a text field and have some automation populate it. Because I'm kind of inclined to think about what Claire was talking about earlier. Like I don't know that, like so when you went into search and you typed Jefferson and it found it, or you were using the search bar at the top, you're using predominantly your index field, and even in a text field, you're only going to actually search against the first like 120 characters,
Right.
because it's challenging, right? And I don't think you're actually doing any searching against the formula field, because the formula field is a runtime thing and it doesn't exist on them.
And we're not trying to search against it. We just want to display it here for the users to know which one to, hover over.
Right.
I mean, even from the perspective of that, like, you're not looking at a record, so it's not doing any runtime evaluation of what should be displayed. So maybe it's just like maybe it's giving you a null and it's actually working.
I agree, except that when I put billing state as the top one, it also is not over here.
Oh, right. You said that earlier. Crap.
And I even tried, because I'm trying to be thorough, because of course billing state is part of a compound field. I even tried just grabbing some text field that isn't. Didn't work either. But I love that everyone has like, a million ideas to try.
Just you did them all. We're not helping you.
Not my first rodeo. All right, well, look, I've stumped you. I feel like that's enough for me to now. I better open a case.
Is there any chance, has there been a knowledge article posted yet? I mean, you can't be the first person that's bumped into this if it is a bug.
I have searched and not found. I will search a little more, but yeah, I haven't found anything. I posted on Trailblazer and no one's answered me, so it's been 24 hours.
It's also going to be hard for someone to like recreate this to try to like go through it. They're like, it doesn't work, Mike. Jeez, like what the heck?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to trying to explain it to a support technician.
Well, what I would do though is I would record yourself in a Zoom meeting and save the recording to them.
Yep. I may even spin up a scratch organ, replicate it over there too. But all right, thank you, everyone. Sorry to take so much time.
No, this was really good. I'm actually really surprised how much documentation there is for Einstein Search. It's a lengthy doc.
It's a fun rabbit hole. I mean, I need to get out of that one. Any other questions? We only have 5 minutes left.
Lost track of everyone. I'm sorry. If you posted, would you please shout out?
Do you want me to do my opportunity stage one?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, Matt, please. Yes.
Welcome
Okay.
back.
Thank you. It's either going to be really fast or similarly frustrating to that one. Hoping it's fast. Okay. Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yep.
This is production. This is a fake record. There won't be anything relevant here. So this is an opportunity. In this org, they call opportunities, they renamed it revenue. So this is an opportunity. It has an opportunity record type. So there's different record types. This one's membership. So that's the record type. And here's stage. And so what I'm hoping is that there's 3 stages: membership payable, membership paid, and closed loss. So wanting closed one to not be a choice there. So this is the record type, membership record type, has a sales process called membership sales process. And the membership sales process has only 3 values. And yet I can pick a 4th value that is not there. So I'm trying to figure out why it's showing up.
If you go back to your sales process, the membership paid is also closed one.
It is, yeah. There's several closed one. There's actually
right,
3
but-
different closed one.
Matt, the membership paid is supposed to replace closed one for that sales process,
Yes.
right? That's wild.
Could you go back to the opportunity and not in edit mode for a sec?
Matt, has this process been edited since it was created?
Yes.
If you create a new test opportunity,
I created it on this call.
okay. Just
But I
wondering
can do
if that,
another
like
one.
stuck. in the
What
old-
I have seen some of is you create another field, and that field could be status. And when you update status to the pick list that you would want your users to see, then you could have it update the stage. So you can control the status list while stage is kind of set and not manipulated. It might be unnecessary though.
Yeah,
I'm also curious, your chevrons don't match your stage list. So do you have a path and a sales process and a pick list all fighting for dominance?
So if you click
No.
closed, if you click that, and then it's like closed status, select it. See, closed one shouldn't be displaying. That's your issue, right?
But can you go to membership paid? Like if you go into setup opportunities, you go to stage, like actually edit the pick list value. For the
this?
yeah.
Because you're using forecast categories there, that makes sense.
So, and the type is closed one, okay. And then can you go look at the other one that's not showing up, or the one that is showing up that you don't want? Yeah,
Standard closed one, yeah.
yeah.
Like, can you move it out of the closed one category and have it, but you probably need it elsewhere, don't you? You don't want to change this globally.
Yeah, this is production.
Yeah. Why is like
And there's multiple sales processes, and this is not happening on any other sales process. So this one here, payment received, is another closed one. And for that sales process, that shows up and closed one does not. So it's not happening in like all of the sales processes. It's only this one.
Is there any chance there's an opportunity with this sales process that's currently set to close one that it's picking that up? So it's because processes have that weird, like the underlying stuff. Like, is it trying to keep?
There probably is. Yeah, there probably is some that are in closed.
Like, if you do this in a sandbox where there's no data at all, does closed one still show up?
You know, I did it in sandbox before I pushed to production and did not have this issue, or else didn't notice this issue. But I think there probably is opportunities in this record type that have closed one as a choice. So I can try and change those over to membership paid.
Yeah, wait, this one.
This is
You know what I'm saying? Because like it's one of those weird ones where, because it's a controlled value, if it sees that value anywhere, is it keeping it persistent? And so it's like, you must still want this in this list.
It could be. I can see how many there are and
I mean,
change
you
them
should be
over
able to prove
this.
it. You should be able to test it in a sandbox. Like, you create one like with a data load with the wrong type, and create one without it, and see if the list like extends itself. Like, you should be able to do that without messing in broad.
This is a really silly idea. If you create a new opportunity, is it right?
No, I created this one for this call, like during this call, and it was like that. But it's a good question.
I feel like caching could also be some confounding variable here.
Boy, I hope not.
Yeah, well, don't we always feel that way about caching?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'll show you that. I'm sorry we're over time, but this is the last thing I'll mention about it. If I try and actually, like, the equivalent of like unplugging and plugging it back in, if I try and add closed one like to it, it gives me an error.
Have you tried creating a new sales process, applying it and deleting this one that's got some weird corruption in it?
No, but I'll definitely give it a whirl.
Yeah, because then you can remap your path and your record types.
Well, I'll let you guys know. I'll give that a try. I'll do all the suggestions and report back to you.
Yeah, also look at the data, like the ones that are the record types that are closed one instead of the other stage name you want to.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for
There's a-
squeezing me in there. That was a weird one.
Not a problem. One other thing, and remind me, I don't think you can't set a default value for stage on opportunity because of the path assignment, right? Like it's not picking up a default value and
Well, I
forcing
think you
to pick it.
can. I think you can set a default value.
I would check that
On
on the
record
pick
type.
list assignment to the record type. Maybe you're forcing that value in by mistake.
Mhm. I mean, I could never figure out why a business wanted like the second stage to be their default value, but they did, so that's why I know.
Yeah.
I argued about it, but okay.
Thank you, Bruno.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.
All
right.
right, everybody, have a great weekend.
Good conversation. Have a good weekend. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you in December.
Thanks,
Turkey.
guys.
Ciao.
Pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is my favorite. My favorite. Marty didn't have any questions for us today. Amazing.